You will look at the sky one night, and it will look back at you. That's how it all begins, not with war, not with chaos, but with a signal your soul has been waiting for since your first breath. The Galactic Council has spoken. First contact is no longer a myth. It's a timeline we are entering. My name is REEM, messenger of the Pleiadian High Council. Through Eleni Saren, a human with a dormant star seed, you will experience the first waves of awakening, energetic shifts, and undeniable proof that contact isn't coming. It has already begun. Open your spirit. The truth was never hidden, just forgotten. It was a Thursday, or at least the clock said so, but I could feel it. Time had bent. I was walking home from the forest when it hit me. Not a wind, not a chill, not a headache. It was like the air itself had shape, pressing through my skin and into my spine. Every step felt like a ripple in a pond, but the water was inside me. I stopped in my tracks, placed my hand on my chest, and whispered, "This is not mine." The vibration wasn't anxiety. It wasn't caffeine. It was intelligence, a signature, like a key opening a door I didn't know I had. The vibration ran up my neck, down my arms. It didn't hurt, it called. I remember my knees buckling slightly. My feet sank into the soil, not physically, but in energy. I was grounded and elevated at the same time. I dropped my bag and just listened. That's when I heard it. Eleni, remember. Not with ears, but like the words were already installed in my DNA. I went home in silence. My body kept humming. Every time I touched something metal, it sparked. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw geometric shapes made of light. I couldn't explain it. I just felt it. Something touched me first. That night, I slept without dreams. But I woke up with a new pulse inside me, like something extraterrestrial was mapping its rhythm onto mine. That's how the contact began, not in the news, but in my body. I was in the middle of sending an email when every light in my room flickered. My laptop restarted on its own, and for a split second the screen flashed symbols I've never seen before, like ancient scripts carved from light. I gasped. I wasn't hallucinating. The temperature dropped instantly. My phone lit up without me touching it, but instead of the lock screen, it showed a pulse, a frequency wave. My ears started ringing, a high pitch, like something was trying to tune in. "REEM, is that you?" I whispered out loud, not knowing where the name came from. I stood in the center of the room. Every appliance blinked in sync. The TV turned on by itself, but not to a channel, just static. But behind the static, I swear I saw a silhouette, something humanoid but glowing. Then, everything returned to normal, but I wasn't the same. When I stepped outside, the streetlights buzzed when I walked past them. The neighbor's cat hissed at me, and then a power outage hit the entire block, except for the light bulb in my room. That one never went out. I started reading about Earth's Schumann resonance. It was spiking, scientists said, without clear cause. But I knew. These weren't normal waves. They were entry signals. The Pleiadian ships weren't landing. They were integrating. My body could feel every fluctuation. My thoughts would get loud when a wave hit. And sometimes, I'd see blue-white flashes in the sky, then silence. Total stillness, like the planet was listening. I stopped blaming Mercury retrograde. I started accepting that something cosmic was adjusting our grid, and I was part of the receiving station. The first dream wasn't a dream, it was a download. I was standing in a desert, but the sand wasn't brown, it shimmered with violet light. A tall figure approached, cloaked in blue and gold, and spoke without moving his lips. "You've heard the voice. Now receive the language." Suddenly, symbols started flooding my vision, shapes made of light, burning themselves into my inner eye. I didn't understand them, but my soul did. When I woke up, my pillow was wet from tears. The next night, it continued. I was in a crystalline chamber with others, strangers who felt like family. We were being shown maps, not of cities, of frequencies. We were told how to navigate through dimensional ripples. When I awoke, my mouth had whispered a word I'd never heard before. REEM. I wrote it down, Googled it, nothing. But I knew. It was a soul sound, not a human word. Over the next weeks, these dreams came in stronger. I'd wake up remembering instructions, where to walk, when to be still, what to avoid. They didn't feel like predictions. They felt like assignments. Even strangers would say things like, "You look like someone I've seen in my dreams." I started to realize the same dreams were being broadcasted to other receivers. We weren't dreaming. We were being updated. The telepathic pulses would align with the moon cycles. I'd hear tones before falling asleep. And sometimes, just as I was drifting off, I'd hear a galactic hum, deep and distant, yet familiar, like the sound of coming home. It started with birds. Every morning for 3 days straight, they circled the tree outside my window in perfect formation, 7 loops, then silence. The cats in my alley stopped hunting. They would just sit, facing the same direction, toward the northern sky. One night, I was meditating near a lake. A deer came right up to me. No fear. It just stared into my eyes, unblinking. And then it tilted its head, as if it recognized something ancient inside me. Even insects changed. Fireflies blinked in patterns, forming what looked like constellations. One morning, I opened my window and found a trail of feathers, white and silver, perfectly aligned from the doorstep to my altar. I told a friend, and they laughed, but I wasn't making it up. Dogs would bark, not at me, but around me, as if defending me from something unseen. One even bowed when I passed, not playfully, ritualistically. And I swear, when I looked at the crows one day, they nodded back. Animals sense frequency before logic. They don't wait for contact, they feel it. They tune into shifts we ignore. They were sensing the vibration of the ships long before I ever dreamed about them. One evening, my neighbor's parrot mimicked a sound I'd never heard, 3 tones, ascending in sequence. That night in meditation, I heard the same tones from inside my chest. That's when I understood. The animals weren't reacting. They were welcoming. I was sitting on my rooftop, eyes closed, just breathing in the stars. The air felt thicker that night, charged, almost sweet. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't meditating, I was just being. Then my mouth opened, and I spoke. Not English, not anything I knew. It was like my tongue remembered a song older than my mind. Tones and sounds poured out, fast and fluid. It was beautiful and terrifying. Shalan, Irito, Sama, Nanari'i. I froze. My hand covered my lips. What did I just say? I didn't force it. I didn't plan it. It flowed like water from a broken dam. I wasn't possessed. I was remembering. The next day, I whispered the words again, and my heart would respond with warmth. My palms would tingle. I knew I wasn't crazy because when I posted a video of it online, others said, "I've spoken that before." I thought I was the only one. That's when I learned what it was. Light language. A vibrational soul code that bypasses the human brain and speaks directly to energy fields. It didn't matter what it meant in English. It mattered how it moved. When I chanted it during meditation, my body aligned. When I spoke it to water, the taste changed. Cleaner, lighter. One time, I spoke it to my sick plant, and by morning, it stood upright. I wasn't special. I was activated. These sounds were being broadcast from higher realms, and the souls who were ready were becoming living antennas. If your throat begins to vibrate, if your mouth starts moving with syllables you've never learned, don't stop it. You're not broken. You're becoming a translator of the stars. I've always loved stargazing. But that night was different. The stars didn't twinkle. They pulsed, and not just randomly, in sync. I grabbed my notebook and started sketching what I saw. 4 stars forming a diamond. One bright point in the center. I didn't recognize the constellation. The next morning, I checked star maps. Nothing matched. But a few hours later, a woman I follow online posted the exact same sketch from across the world. She wrote, "I think it's a gate." That evening, I went back to the roof. The pattern had shifted again, but always reforming around that one central light. It didn't blink like a star. It glowed steadily with a faint blue hue. And then it moved. Not like a shooting star. It pivoted, like a ship adjusting position. My breath caught in my throat, and the air changed. It became thicker, quieter, like sound itself was holding its breath. Suddenly, I remembered something REEM had whispered in a dream weeks ago. When you see the sky gate, the signal has been approved. Since that night, people around the world began reporting the same shape, different locations, same pattern, always near 3:33 a.m. Astrologers couldn't explain it. NASA wouldn't acknowledge it, but we knew. It's not a meteor, not a satellite. It's a marker, a visible stamp on the sky to show this is where first contact will begin. I was brushing my teeth when the mirror shimmered, just for a second, like a heat wave rippled across it. I blinked. Nothing. Then it happened again. And then the hum began. Not from the fridge, not from outside. It came from inside my bones. A low, melodic vibration, like the sky was singing to me from inside my chest. I rushed outside, barefoot, heart pounding. There, above the hills, a light hovered, not moving, not blinking. It was too still to be human-made, but it wasn't fully visible either, like it was draped in a veil, flickering between sight and shadow. I whispered, "Show yourself." It didn't move. But suddenly, my whole field of vision bent slightly, as though the air was folding. Then a shape began to phase in, not landing, just entering. The light shifted, and the craft became suggested, like it was half here, half elsewhere. And then it faded again. That night, I received a message in a dream. Contact begins with frequency, not form. The Pleiadians weren't coming to land. They were learning to match Earth's resonance, and only those who tuned their energy would see them first. Others reported the same experience. A ripple in the sky, lights that pulsed in sacred geometries. Some even heard melodic clicks or saw glitches in reflections. The veil wasn't thinning by accident. It was being calibrated. They are not invading. They are entering through harmonic resonance. It happened during deep sleep, on a cold night with no stars. I found myself sitting at a long, glowing table surrounded by beings of light. They weren't wearing clothes. They were light. Soft hues of blue, lavender, and gold. Their eyes shimmered like liquid stars. Elenai Saren, one said telepathically, "You've returned." I looked at my hands. They were glowing too. I wasn't in my Earth body. "We are the Council of Harmonic Entry," another said. "You were selected to carry memory forward during the Great Unveiling." I was shown a map of consciousness, not places, but timelines, branches of potential realities, each one vibrating at a different color. My task was to anchor a specific frequency on Earth, through words, breath, and awareness. Another being touched my forehead, and I saw flashes, past lives, star missions, contracts signed in light. You will not remember it all now, but when the sky shifts, you will know what to say. The vision faded. I woke up with a new word etched into my mind. Actera Lune. I still don't know what it means, but when I whispered it, the flame on my candle turned blue. Since then, I've met others, strangers who recognize me. We finish each other's sentences. We dream the same dreams. We were all briefed in soul-level councils, not for status, but for service. It was subtle at first. I'd walk into a room and forget why I entered. Not because I was distracted, but because the energy in the room had changed. It felt like I was walking through invisible curtains. Then it got stronger. I'd see movements out of the corner of my eye, figures, light flickers, shadows that didn't belong to objects. But every time I turned, nothing was there, or so I thought. One morning, while washing my hands, I looked up and saw my reflection blink. Before I did, that moment cracked something inside me. I pressed my hands to the mirror, whispering, "Am I seeing through or being seen?" Later in meditation, REEM came through again, soft but serious. The veil is not breaking. It is opening, slowly, lovingly. You must adjust your eyes. From then on, everything looked layered. The walls shimmered sometimes, like heat waves in the air. Time felt fluid. I'd lose an hour or gain it without explanation. Words people said would echo in my mind. But as if I was hearing two versions at once, reality was no longer flat. It was stacked. One night, I touched a tree and saw a glimmer of something golden move through its bark. I stepped back, heart racing. A deer walked past me, then paused, and its body phased slightly, like it was half in this world, half in another. That's when I knew. The veil isn't just out there, it's everywhere. And it's not being ripped apart. It's being peeled open like silk, gently, slowly, purposefully. It's how we'll see the ones who have always been here, watching, helping, waiting. It wasn't burnout, it was emptiness. I picked up my phone one morning and felt nothing. No urge to scroll, no curiosity. It was like the screen had lost its pull. Every video, every post, it all looked the same, flat, hollow. Even the sounds felt harsh, almost painful. I put it down and walked outside instead. For the first time in weeks, I heard the birds, the wind, my own breathing. I sat in the grass and felt alive again. That evening, REEM spoke clearly during my meditation. Their frequency is too dense. You're rising beyond it. Suddenly, I understood. My energy field was becoming too sensitive to hold the weight of noise, algorithms, chaos. I didn't hate social media. I just didn't belong there anymore. I started noticing things. Each time I watched too many screens, my dreams would become static. Each time I turned them off, the light language returned. My intuition grew louder. My peace stretched deeper. I wasn't escaping the world. I was reclaiming my alignment. Within days, I deleted apps, not to be trendy, but because my soul said, enough. And the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was sacred. Books found me again. Paint returned to my fingers. Music felt like light weaving through my skin. I began hearing whispers, guidance, not notifications. If you're feeling this too, don't fight it. It's not disinterest, it's a recall, a home frequency activating. Your attention is being rerouted for something bigger than likes. It started with scribbles. I would doodle during phone calls, and by the end, pages would be filled with symbols I didn't recognize. Spirals, triangles within circles, dots placed like constellations. They felt familiar, but I had no idea why. I showed one to a friend. She said, "That looks like what I saw during breathwork last week." Another person sent me a photo of a rock painting from Peru. It looked nearly identical to my drawing. This wasn't random. That night, REEM visited again. Her voice was clearer than ever. "You are remembering the star codes. They are part of your original design." I held the paper in my hand and felt heat. The ink shimmered slightly. I touched it. and a word came into my mind: serotonin. I whispered it out loud, and my skin tingled. The codes started showing up everywhere, in cloud shapes, in tree branches, in how shadows fell through my window. I wasn't creating them, I was recognizing them. Each time I meditated with one, I'd receive information, not in words, but as bursts of knowing. I'd just understand something new about healing, energy, or timelines. One evening, as I traced a symbol in the sand, a woman walking by stopped and gasped. "I've seen that in a dream." "Who taught you?" I smiled. "No one. It just came through." That's the thing. These codes aren't meant to be taught. They are embedded in the soul, waiting for permission to turn on. And once they do, you'll remember what your body, your voice, your vibration was always meant to do. I cried for 3 days straight. Nothing triggered it. No heartbreak. No news. Just wave after wave of emotion. So pure, so deep. It felt ancient. It wasn't sadness. It was release. I'd look at the sky and weep. I'd hear certain sounds and feel my chest swell. One afternoon, I walked past a stranger and our eyes met, and I felt everything. His pain, his joy, his exhaustion. Like my heart had turned into a receiver. I couldn't explain it, but REEM did. You are purging the dense layers to prepare your emotional field for light. Pleiadian communication isn't through words. It's through vibration, intention, and emotional frequency. And in order to understand them, I had to become fluent in energy. That's why my emotions were being amplified, so I could hear in ways the ears cannot. I started sensing people's truth beneath their words. I could feel lies, fear, even deep longing in someone's voice, like colors beneath sound. Sometimes, when I meditated, I'd hear tones that would trigger sobbing. Tones that felt like my star family calling out, reminding me, "We've missed you. You're almost back." One day, I looked into a mirror and said, "I am ready for light communication." Instantly, a warmth exploded in my chest. I collapsed to the floor, laughing and crying at once. No words, just understanding. Your emotional body isn't a weakness, it's an antenna. The more you feel, the clearer your connection will become. It was my 3rd time visiting that mountain, but this time I heard it sing. Not with sound, but through vibration. As I walked near the ancient rock formation, my spine began to buzz. My palms grew warm. And when I placed my hand on one of the stones, my heart skipped, then fell into perfect rhythm, like something was syncing with me. I sat down and closed my eyes. A low, melodic hum echoed through my chest, not my ears. I whispered, "What is this?" And immediately, I felt the presence. "You've returned," said the voice of REEM. "This site is encoded with your frequency. It remembers you." Suddenly, I saw it in my mind's eye. A past life, a ceremony, me standing barefoot, light pouring through my hands as I touched that very stone. Tears filled my eyes. Sacred sites around the world, mountains, temples, caves, waterfalls, are more than landmarks. They are galactic memory banks, activated by specific soul vibrations. Most people feel awe, but a few feel home. Since then, I've visited other places, stone circles, forgotten wells, cliffside ruins. Each time my body responded before my brain could comprehend. At one desert site, the ground beneath my feet began to pulse, like a heartbeat. At another, I touched a tree and saw brief flashes of symbols in light, etched on bark that wasn't visibly carved. I met others too, travelers who weren't sightseeing but remembering. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Our energy did the communication. And that's how you'll know. If you stand at a site and feel a strange pull, a vibration, or a deep calm that feels sacred, you've been summoned. The land is calling you back because first contact is not just in the sky. It's rising through Earth's bones. I was in the middle of a voice note when my phone crackled and died. Lights in the kitchen dimmed. My computer flickered, then restarted. But here's the thing, it wasn't just my apartment. The entire block went dark for exactly 33 seconds. And when it came back, everything felt different. The air had a static charge. My hair stood on end. And in that quiet moment, I heard it again. A soft pulsing hum, like a low drum beat echoing through my chest. The next day, reports flooded in. Similar blackouts all across the world. Different time zones, same duration. Some said it was solar flares. Others blamed the grid. But I knew. REEM confirmed it that night in dream time. The ships are aligning their frequency with Earth. These surges are the energy's entry points. I wasn't afraid, I was honored, because it meant the ships weren't coming to land. They were already here, slowly blending into our field, like light fading into morning. Since then, every time there's a sudden flicker, a signal drop, or a random power reset, I listen, and I feel the pattern. It's not random, it's rhythmic. I started keeping notes, dates, times, emotions I felt before the surge. In one case, right before a short blackout, I had been speaking to a friend about soul contracts, and during the outage, we both saw a blue light flash across the ceiling. You'll begin noticing this too, especially if your energy is sensitive. These power surges aren't glitches. They're signs that our planet is being harmonized, bit by bit, with the Pleiadian light fields. Every flicker is a whisper. We are here. Keep aligning. Everyone expects ships. They look up, waiting for metal, for engines, for something loud and dramatic. But I promise you, that's not how first contact begins. It starts in the stillness, in a look, in a voice you hear that no one else does. In the moment your heart cracks open with love so deep, it hurts to breathe. I was lying in bed, completely awake, when I suddenly felt a presence so familiar it made me weep. No sound, no vision, just knowing. They didn't land, they didn't knock, they just reminded me. REEM spoke gently. You were never separate, you just forgot. Now, you remember? Memories began to flood in, not lifetimes, soul echoes, moments of floating in stars, holding crystalline orbs, sharing thought through vibration, not voice. And then, an overwhelming wave of love, not from another being, but from myself, to myself. Because this contact wasn't external, it was internal. I began remembering that I had volunteered, that I had chosen this earth life to awaken at this very time, that my pain, my longing, my gifts were all coded steps in this journey. And I saw others remembering too, strangers messaging me. I feel like I'm waking up. I dreamed of glowing beings and they told me my mission. I don't feel alone anymore. This is what contact looks like, not one ship, not one day, but millions of awakenings rippling across timelines. If you felt the stirring, the frequency shifts, the tears for something you can't name, you're not waiting for first contact. You are first contact. It started in my skin. I'd walk out into the morning sun, and the light wouldn't just touch me. It would move through me. I could feel it swirl inside my arms, like golden smoke filling invisible chambers in my body. And instead of feeling tired from the day, I felt charged, lit from within. Then came the heat, not fever, not illness, but a slow, rolling warmth across my back, especially around my shoulder blades. It felt like something dormant beneath the bones had started to wake up. I messaged others I trusted. They said they were feeling it too. Pressure in the head, sudden ringing in the ears, pulsing in their hands. But their tests came back normal. Doctors said stress or hydration, but our souls said otherwise. REEM confirmed it during a sunrise meditation. Your body is remembering its crystalline design, The old carbon-based frequency cannot hold what is coming. Your cells are becoming light responsive. I sat still. I could feel it. My heart wasn't just beating, it was broadcasting. My bones weren't just holding me up, they were resonating. I had strange cravings too. Less heavy food, more water, more herbs, and I couldn't tolerate synthetic things anymore. Even certain clothes began to irritate me. My body wanted simplicity, clarity, light. One night, while lying on the floor after breathwork, I felt as if my body expanded beyond the room. My eyes were closed, but I saw myself glowing, like a network of light strands wrapping my organs, my bones, my spine. I whispered, "What am I becoming?" And the answer came from within. You are becoming a bridge. Since then, my senses have sharpened, my dreams have brightened, and sometimes when I speak, especially when speaking from love, people around me tear up without knowing why. Our bodies are not breaking down, they are tuning up, adjusting to hold a multidimensional consciousness that's no longer coming, but here. I used to live by alarms, wake at 7, eat at 1, sleep at 11, repeat. But one day, the system collapsed. I woke up wide-eyed at 3 a.m., charged and ready, like I had slept for 10 hours. Then later that same day, time slowed down. I sat in meditation for what I thought was 10 minutes. When I opened my eyes, 2 hours had passed. It wasn't just me. People started messaging me saying, "Doesn't today feel longer? Why does the clock feel wrong? Everything feels out of sync." It wasn't confusion, it was recalibration. That week, REEM appeared in my dream standing in front of a spiraling ring of light, a kind of cosmic sundial, and said, "The illusion of linearity is dissolving. Time will now respond to your state of awareness." At first, I didn't understand, but soon I noticed. When I was joyful, present, connected, time would expand. I could do more with less effort. The day would feel generous. But when I was low or out of alignment, time felt sharp, short, draining. Reality itself was teaching me how time was not a ruler. It was a reflection of my energy field. I started honoring this. Some days, I let go of the schedule and followed the flow. I'd get nudged to go to the park and bump into someone I hadn't seen in years. Or I'd feel a pull to stop what I was doing, only to realize I avoided an accident or a conflict. Eventually, I stopped asking, "What time is it?" and started asking, "What frequency am I in?" Because now, time was moving through me, not the other way around. And that's when it truly clicked. We are no longer bound to clocks. We are syncing with divine rhythm. And the more we let go of control, the more miracles begin to happen, right on time.